everyone's been here, so you've gotten the gist of it, yes? If we, there has to be, and the level of reality would be seemingly so, there has to be something seemingly is occurring that causes us not to have that sense of being ourselves reality, yeah? So, not regarding that little aberration and to present it as the affirmative, the to describe the indescribable, to try to put out an understanding of the incomprehensible, yeah, I would think would be a little bit early. I think you'd have to see what we're not to have a sense of really uh, being what we are, having an effect here. Yes, because being what we're not seems to have the biggest effect here. Yes, to the point where if we are reality, and let's say reality is awake, uh, and we're seeking awakeness, that implies there's a belief that we're not awake. Yeah, I mean, and so, and the only thing that could make that seemingly so is reality. Yeah, reality is the only thing that could fool reality. Yeah, so no illusion could fool reality unless reality is in cahoots with it. Yeah, and then it could. So I felt, I wandered in here, bouncing from this and that, and then finally and heard a message of non-duality. And after I heard the message, it had similarities of hearing other messages, not the message itself, but how I heard it. Yeah, how I heard the message is just how I heard Buddhism, just how I heard the guru coming from India, just how I heard, yes, meditation, and I heard it as the hearer, yeah, basically, and I that's the that's the first step that laid the direction, whatever journey I was going to take. And some of them were pretty cool. They go, well, there's nothing really to do, but if you listen for 10 minutes, there was a lot to do. Yeah. But, you know what I mean? So, uh, I don't know about you, but for me, after being introduced to non duality, uh, I was introduced to a lot of correction, really, and a lot of misunderstandings that uh, they never seemed to get pointed out. I remember I was really confused that I had sincerely, you know, practiced Buddhism, I felt, yeah? And this idea, even they say it, there's a non self. But what I was speaking was, I didn't think I was what they're talking about. I thought it was ego or something, yeah? The precious sense of being Paul wasn't held as self in a way. It was Paul was the one who had an ego, yeah, and there was no ego. So that to me how I heard it, yeah, and so I was practicing to have that idea of there is no ego as self, yeah, and I was trying to stabilize the no ego condition as self, yeah, and I was wondering why the no ego condition didn't seem to be able to stabilize for long. It would stabilize maybe after 3 weeks of arduous sitting and walking meditations in a freaking little temple in northern Thailand. But as soon as I took the tuk-tuk back to town, and the sounds and the activity of the town basically washed that all away. Yeah. And I was wondering uh, how it could reform so quickly. I didn't know it had never lost its imaginary form because Paul was the complete embodiment of selfing, really. Trying to get out of self as self. Never came across, never. I mean, I studied non-self, anatta. I did. It never was applied to me. It was applied to ego or, you know, whatever. But it may captured parts of Paul, but it never got the whole enchilada, you know. And any little part of Paul is like those lizards that they lose their tail and they grow a new one. You can't, cutting the tail off doesn't work. It will grow a new tail, you know. Pointing out that putting lipstick on a pig, you'll see it's on the pig a couple of days later. You know, it seems for the life of me, I couldn't figure why this thing that I felt was so defeated by 14 hours and then hallucinatory peak experiences and seeing mandalas, not only moving one way, but 4 ways differently at the same time, and da da da. And basically, it all was like hot air. As soon as it happened, it was in the process of leaving. Yeah, because there was nowhere to land. There was nowhere for it to land. Yeah, I was like a moving target trying to aim. You know what I mean? I could have it all lined up, but I was moving. Yeah, the target was still, but I was moving. I had no idea. So I kept shooting. You know, I got the target non-self, but I'd always miss by a mile, really, because I was seemingly the target. Yeah, unbeknownst. So I went on, and this has nothing to do with it. See, yet it has a lot to do with it when we're sharing it with us. Yeah, you know, I started this way and I ended up there, and I went to, you know. Non-duality just brought out me, really. Yeah, it didn't bring out the light and bring out the truth. That's already there. It brought me out into the open, and I could see me from somewhere else. Yeah, not just a tail or 4 fingers, or I saw the whole thing. Yeah, as as something else, as really the imaginary child of a mental activity, really. That had been getting way too much attention for way too long. So it was the first, maybe something else will be that for you. But in my sense, in my little uh, interpretive story, that's what non duality has been for me. It brought out all the misunderstandings. Yeah. And they just fell as soon as they were as soon as they were brought up, not as Paul, but yeah, a part of from Paul, they collapsed. Yeah. And I don't know if the statement being convinced holds any weight for you, but it holds a lot of weight in my life because it's very, very important condition in recovery from addiction. Yeah, is the state, present tense state of being convinced. Yeah, that you're not managerial quality, that any life run on self-will hardly be a success. There's many things that come after the being convinced, but the being convinced, yeah, changes the effect of what comes after. If there's no being convinced, what comes after is going to keep coming after. Yeah, but the being convinced puts like a pause on stuff. And then when you see something you only saw moving around, when you see it stop, you see through it. Yeah. Or there's a possibility of seeing through it. And suddenly, you know, you land at an understanding that you don't waste a second looking for what can't be found. Yeah. Being ourselves reality just sort of neuters a lot of drives concerning these topics. Yeah. Because usually the concerning these topics is, you know, everyone agrees that we're starting at Omaha. Let's say JP, Paul, Kerry, but let's call it Omaha, and we want to get to Los Angeles, yeah? And so in this case, there's 2,000, 3,000-year-old maps, and some of us are going to take that map. Other are going to take a new agey type map or whatever, or let's say something more exotic like a shamanistic or whatever. But we're here, yeah, which is really what needs to be questioned, and we want to get there, yeah, with the hopes that in the journey to there, we'll lose a lot of here, yeah. So we'll be a better here when we get there. This doesn't have that ingredient whatsoever. It doesn't. It stands on a very firm rock, which is being ourselves reality. Yeah. It's not something to chant. It's something to sort of rest on. Yes. Yeah. It's not something to do. It's very disarming when you start seeing the activities that imply the you that was coronated as me, yeah, that was the driving force of wanting to escape a you, not because it was a you, because it was a you that had been coronated to me, really. That drive changes, obviously, yeah? Your interest or thirst to find the newest map to LA dries up when you're in LA. Yeah, there's no point. It doesn't have a point unless you're like a map collector, which is cool. Yeah, but then the map collector, the map is being used for something else. Yeah, it's not being used as a guidance to leave Omaha and arrive at LA because you've realized you're in LA. How did you realize you're not in Omaha? If you keep saying I'm in LA, I'm in LA, I'm in LA, but you're still starting from Omaha, for all intents and purposes, you're still in Omaha. Yeah? Chanting you're in LA isn't going to change the fact you're going to see Melrose Avenue as Omaha Street. You're just going to, yeah, it's not going to, all that LA offers, you're not going to get because you're in Omaha. Yeah. So let's get clear. Yeah. Are we in Omaha? If we're not in Omaha and there's a suspension of it has to be somewhere else, maybe the negation of Omaha producing a pause where the drive to find LA somewhere else stops, maybe you'll realize you're LA. Yeah. You know what I mean? That little pause can have a huge impact on you. Yeah. When it isn't like, all right, I'm not in Omaha, but I'm moving, yeah, but I'm in Idaho or somewhere. No, I'm not in Omaha. Pause. LA. Yeah. Finally. Being convinced you're in LA. Yeah. You do not seek quicker ways to get to LA. You lose interest in going to LA. You lose interest in Omaha because you're not in Omaha. Yeah. But it's that pause when the message lands and there's that aha or resonance, it stuns the system. And right there, you look around, I'm in LA. Yeah. Then the advertisings kick in. Yeah. It's going to be so much better in LA. All this shit. Yeah. But something happens. You're not as keen on buying those maps or getting that travel book, because you've been convinced, even if it was just a second, yeah, you're LA. Yeah. The cat's out of the bag at that point, yeah? Or as Ramana says, the head is in the tiger's mouth. Yeah. It's been revealed. You're in LA. It's a bad example, but yeah. So what happens? Yeah. Oh, all the weight of not being in LA, wanting to get to LA, dealing with Omaha, trying to deny Omaha, trying to, just dream of LA, California dreaming. All of that is seen through, and you're in LA. Yeah, yeah. What are you going to do? And now all the little take on doing isn't based on, is this going to get me to LA quicker? Is this going to prohibit me from getting to LA longer? Yes. That measuring stick's gone. Yeah. There's just doing without a doer. Yeah. Because all the doing had a meaning. I should have done it. I should have done, because did this move me close to LA or did it move me farther away from LA? All that's gone. Yeah. So now you can see doing without a doer, because it's the doer that wants to get to LA, not the doing. Yeah? Now the doer's been weak because you are in LA. So now you see doing is just that, doing. There you go. You now have the experience of a non-action, which is an action without an identification as the actor. Yeah? You now have a sense of that, a lot. Yeah. And then all these mystical, cryptic statements start really, really feeling pretty intimate with you. And I'm not talking about Paul, that thing that's bleeding through Paul, let's say. Yeah. And then, yeah, you cannot believe how much weight is carried with the idea that we're somewhere that we're not, needing to get to some place we've never left. There's a huge amount of weight that goes on with that. Yeah. You don't pack to arrive at where you are, do you? No. There's no packing. there's, there's no packing. You don't have to make a reservation. None of this stuff happens. You're here. Yeah. All right. You start there. What am I going to do? You'll find out. Yeah. But at least you're located where you're located. Yeah. So non-duality, the way it truly crystallized in maybe the second or third year after hearing about it. And then I was reading some stuff by people who wrote about Ramana Maharshi's teachings, and they would state a couple of different things in all the different writings, and they would be emphasized. And the one that I felt was mostly emphasized was this idea of the greatest mystery is reality wanting attained reality, being ourselves reality. Yes? Or the non-existent thing taken to be an existent thing, seeking salvation for itself. Their spiritual practices themselves will reinforce the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? Yes? And that this process can't be beat by another process because it's the quickest one in time. Yeah? And in this world of time and processes, time wins. Yeah. If this process of the act of being identified as something is before all the acts you do to try to get out of that something, all those acts you do to try to get out of that something are being used to reinforce that something you want to get out of. Yeah. Because the agenda of the first process overrides the agendas of what you think the other processes are. Yeah. You think you're using it to go this way. It's already been imprinted with you're going that way. And unbeknownst to us, this is going on. It has nothing to do with our knowledge or volition. It's mechanical. Yeah? So if you're sitting here and you're putting your asses going to the ground, there's an interpretation of that movement as Paul is sitting down. Yeah. Paul is sitting down. So this Paul has been inferred and implied so many freaking times. It's like a familiar lazy boy. Yeah. You're in it before you're even in it. Yeah. Your ass hasn't even touched the chair and you're already Paul sitting down. Yes? Seemingly. This is how you're hearing this all day. And it's reverberating in like the halls of memory and fucking it's like an echo that just gets amplified. So it goes on and on and on and on and on. I don't see how talking about what you already are is going to trigger you getting out of it. I just don't see it. Yeah. It seems like it has a pretty good immunity to that challenge. Yeah. Yeah. Reality is probably going to run into itself. How are we going to hide that? Well, very easily. Yeah. I'll have the host thinking it's me and then wanting to gain reality. Therefore, reinforcing the me that it's not in the pursuit of what it already is. Sounds like an incredible strategy. So, yeah, maybe it happens. Anything can happen here. But, man, it's just sort of like, I think like spiritual books and stuff should have a disclaimer, just like cigarettes have, you know? There's a thing on the pack that says this could be hazardous to your health. I would love to see that, you know, oh, I really want to read this book. Reading this book may trigger the identification as the reader of the book, and you are not that. All right? Oh, far out. Happy. That was nice. I'm happy that wasn't the last page, it was the first page. Okay, all right. I had no idea that may be happening. Yeah. Oh, we've noticed that you are signing up for your 35th retreat. We're here to give you a public announcement. If you haven't gotten it now, you're not going to get it now. Okay. Yeah. All right, now do whatever. Yeah, but at least the warning was offered. Yes, that's what they do at beaches. They know people are gonna fucking drown, but at least they put a sign say, "Hey, a lot of people drown here." You know what I mean? Swim at your own risk. Okay. Yeah. So some people became aware. This became obvious, and then it was presented as a negation of that activity that was causing it not to be obvious. Yeah, and it was non-duality, not two. Simple as that. Yeah, there's no description in that descriptive title of what we are. It's a description of what we're not. Yeah, not two. Yeah. In a way, the emphasis is on the knowledge of two, yeah, not the knowledge of 0 or 1. You don't need knowledge about what you are. You're being it, yeah? So, yeah, so here we are. Yeah. The never-ending Wednesday night, the never-ending Tuesday, the never-ending Thursday, the never-ending Saturday, the never-ending Tuesday afternoon. Yeah. I can serve the cod this way, sideways, backwards, slice it, cube it, grill it, fry it, but it's cod, yeah? After you hear it thousands of ways, it doesn't change the nature or the essence of the message, cod, yeah? So, yeah. The head always wants to include itself in every other topic, every topic. Non-duality stops it at the door and questions it, really. That's all. Yeah? I'm with him. No, you're not. Yeah? You and I, what we all get in, when the head goes, I'm with him. No, you're not. You're not with him. You're not with her. I've been with her for so long, it doesn't matter. You're not with her. No one's ever said that to me. Exactly. There you go. We don't want to say it to you. We're trying to say it to what we are. Hey, they're not with you. It's not with you. Yeah. You're not beholden to it. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Nice to see everyone, and let's all behave, shall we, please? Yeah. If you disagree with me, do it silently. Yeah. All right, Michael, anyone?
No hands right now. Raise them in the box if you want to. I never heard you say that the LA Omaha was not a good example.
I don't know.
Are you
Yeah.
putting LA down?
No, no, no. Let me read something from one of my favorite guys. I read this many times here, but I still love it. So, all right. And remember, this was written down in what, Chinese and then English and stuff. And yeah. Here it is, just this, right in front of you. Start thinking about it, and you just missed it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not the thinking about it that misses it, it's the you thinking about it. Yeah. You as the thinker is how you miss it. It's not what missing it with the thinking. It's the what misses it is the thinker. Yeah. Just give up your notions of unenlightened and enlightened. Then you might recognize that which is here to begin with. Then you might recognize that which is here to begin with. Whatever, I missed that anyway. I can't read my own writing. Okay, let's see. This is the one I really like. It says, an illusion. Oh, there is no such thing as illusion. Illusion is in itself illusory. It's only there because you have invented it. If you would simply give up your dividing this from that, you would see that what seems to be divided is not. Yeah? Because it is so close, you don't notice it. When you open your eyes, you see with it. However, if you imagine you can find it by thinking about it, you just missed it by 10,000 miles. Basically the same statement, yeah? Knowledge is limited, but this is from Chuang Tzu. Knowledge is limited, but knowing is not. Yeah? It's pretty cool. Knowledge is limited, but knowing is not. To try to understand the unlimited through the limit is craziness. But to do this and to consider it to be a real understanding, now that's just stupidity. That's pretty cool. Yeah, what are they implying? The immediacy, yeah? How could something get here so fast if it wasn't us? How could it be here so fast if it wasn't us? If we were somewhere else, it would have to take a little time probably to arrive. Yeah. Then you would have really screwed it up. But because it's like instantaneous, because it never left. Yeah. The question is, did you come? Did you come? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, let's talk. If not, I'll say goodbye and wish everyone a nice Wednesday.
Well, I have a little Christmas story, kind of. I was at Pete's with Nor and another friend of his, and Nor wanted to meditate, so we were doing that. And this is kind of, like the appreciation of traveling lighter. So instead of being in that place about, how I can't keep my mind, focused on anything at all, I was able to give meaning to and enjoy that they were playing "Oh Holy Night, Silent Night," and at the same time, the blender and the steaming machines were going off, right? So very very cacophonous that way. But yeah, just like, and it's not like I stayed with that or didn't notice a body pain and whatever, that kind of stuff. but you know, that because we were with his friend, I can remember, like, oh fuck, I can't, I can't do this, or oh my god, we got to do this in Pete's, or ad infinitum. So just to have, an appreciation of being able to laugh, at that contrast, and not be so down on myself, as opposed to like the guy that we were with, who is like, oh, you can't, I'm not going to even close my eyes. I can't do it. There's too many people, whatever.
Yeah.
It was just a moment. I mean, it's like, it's not like that was the whole meditation or whatever, but it was pretty fun for that.
Yeah, but that underlying basis will appear a lot in your life.
Yeah, and I'm convinced, right? I'm more convinced about that. I have more, more time enjoying that laughing than I go the other route.
Yeah. Yeah, this is perhaps there is a better way, which is no way, really. Yeah.
And David and Gary have their hands up. So David, go ahead.
Hi, Paul. G'day, everyone.
David, how are you?
Yeah, shit today.
But let's move on then.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Over the last 6 weeks, probably for a long time, but I've been aware of that. I'm awareness over the last 6 weeks. I've felt it like a on and off, for little short spurts of time, but I can't seem to. The fucking rig can't seem to stop searching. Stop being on a path, sort of thing, for long periods of time, which is what gets me in like a bit how I am now.
But hey, Dave, can I jump in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Please.
The thing isn't about being on a path or searching. It's not being the one who's on the path and not being the one who's searching. That's all. Yeah. All that other stuff can go. The real weight that causes us, let's say, unrest or just heaviness, isn't coming from the searching, really. That can exasperate it. It's coming from the searcher. Yeah. An identification with the actions. That gives meaning to the actions. So if you want to cut the meaning out by not doing the action, it's just going to claim another action.
That's what I've been doing.
Yes, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. In my humble experience, it doesn't work. It's just going to glom on to something else. So it'll glom on to be the one that's not searching. Yeah. Just like it was glomming on to be the one searching. It doesn't have any allegiance to the direction of the action. It wants just to be implied before the action. Yes.
Yeah.
That's all. So you just see, hey, and I'll tell you, if it isn't David that's searching, you'll come to there'll be an acceptance of searching. Yeah. And a lot of times when the searching is accepted, there's a stopping of searching. Yeah, it is. That's been my experience. Yeah.
I sort of know what you're saying. It's like the few times, or not, maybe more than a few, recently. I think I've said to you before. I've been actually able to look at me and my mind having a discussion. So I know I'm something else, but it just doesn't happen often enough for my life.
Well, again, that which is desiring it to stabilize is completely unstable. It's not a real solid location. That's why it dreams of stabilization, because it isn't.
So you're saying it's I, me, that's wanting it to stabilize.
Yes, what you're not wants it to stabilize. It wants it to stabilize. It's not looking for it to stabilize. It wants it to stabilize. The emphasis on wanting. Yeah?
Yeah.
If it's stabilized, you'd want it to be more exciting. If it was more, if it was more exciting and stable, you may want it to be, I need some extreme version. Yes? It just goes on. So
I get that. I always want it to be something else when I perceive that I've achieved what I wanted. It
Yeah,
always,
it's all a charade, you know. It's just it's basically a promotion of never-ending activity, really.
yeah,
Yes, because the the selfing is an activity. There is no self that can stop and then go. That's an idea that derives from listening to selfing. The selfing is a movement. It can't stop. Yeah. It doesn't want to stop. It talks about, oh, I can't wait to find my resting place. It's never seemingly now or here. So
no,
it always, you're wanting to find your resting place has the antithesis of resting as most of the time. You're fucking actively trying to get somewhere. That's not resting. Yeah. So you're thinking, I'm going to actively try to get somewhere to rest.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, you got to see how insane it is. It's like, and the thing is, it's sort of like when I was in this, life had me ending up on the last square of the game board once again, where the managing of my life always led me to having to be managed by others. Yeah. So I went into a program mostly for convicts and drug addicts. And for one night's sanctuary, I made a 2-year commitment. I was a very savvy businessman. 2 years, one night. And then I got in there. And because most people had gotten in there in a very deep crisis and stuff, I didn't really check out where I was or what was going on. And then I noticed, and this isn't anything against this place or for it, I noticed they had 300 people working 6 days a week and no one was getting paid. Yeah. They had donated food, donated clothes, a donated building we lived in, but we were working jobs. Yeah. And
right,
there was some money being made, and none of it went to us. What we would get would be free clothes. That would be the big perk. And the longer you were in the place, the quicker you'd get into the boutique when they had their every 3-month giant fucking clothes arama. Yeah. And if you were new, you just got fucking baggy sweatpants and shit. So there was a impetus or a perk, but in fact, that was a profit generated thing. Yeah. They had 300 workers who weren't getting paid. That's now that didn't become obvious because most of us were in a life or death situation. We didn't have the luxury to check out what was going on. But as the crisis of your life chilled out, you started to realize, yeah, wait a minute, what's going on here? Well, the same way in this, yes? Yeah.
yeah,
You need the tool. Understanding is a tool, not to lead to more understanding, but to lead to vision. Yeah. So the understanding would be like a view. Yeah. Let's call it the view of non-duality. But the view of non-duality isn't to replace the old views, it's to lead to vision. Yeah. A seeing of things, not a knowing of things, a seeing of things, an awareness of things. Not acquiring knowledge, just like that statement. Knowledge is limited, but knowing ain't. Yeah, that sense of knowing, that sense of being, is what the understanding is sort of setting. It's sort of like Saint John the Baptist to the Christ. Yeah, so we get an understanding that sort of questions the misunderstandings we were living on. Yeah, without having any idea. And then that understanding's done its job. It's like Ramana Maharshi had a famous old Indian story about someone walking down the road and his foot's hurting them. And they stop and they take their shoe off and they see they have a thorn in their foot. Yeah. So they look around the dirt and they get another thorn. And they use that second thorn to take out the first thorn. They don't replace the first thorn with the second thorn. They throw both of them away. Yeah. So non-duality's understanding is like the second thorn. Yeah. The misunderstanding is like the first thorn. We're using the second thorn to pull out the first thorn. We're not replacing the misunderstandings with an understanding of non-duality. It's not necessary. Yes? Because you have already arrived. All your understanding is self-evident. Yeah? You don't have to have an understanding you all arrived. You will sense you already arrived. Yes? You've never left. And having never left is not an understanding. It's a reflection of the obvious. Yeah? Yeah. So yes, the understandings, they have their role, but it's not a view, it's vision. Yeah? It's seeing, it's awareness, it's being what you're looking for. Yeah? It's the seeker is the sought. There's no place where the seeker, there's no place for and the sought. It's seeker is the sought. Yeah? Boom. Yeah. So we catch this imaginary distance and time that seemingly has moved me from me. Yes? Seeing that, recognize it, you are what you're looking for. Now, no requirements necessary. Now. Yeah. This isn't about, oh, this understanding is going to lead you to the greater understanding and then to the greatest understanding. No, it has a job to negate the misunderstandings. Yeah. And then the seeing becomes obvious. Yeah. And seeing translates to a much stronger knowing than an understanding, in my feeling. Yeah. Yeah. Seeing is like being convinced. Yeah. Understanding is like believing what you're hearing is true. They're different. There are different conditions.
And when you're convinced, you sort of don't need to understand anything more. But you're just convinced.
That's right. A lot of the activities to prop things up drop because that which is standing alone on its own doesn't need any propping up. Yes. So now, in a way, you finally realize the emperor has no clothes and you live as the emperor with no clothes. Yeah. So, but this is what happens all the time. It's sort of like, putting a stick in a hornet's nest. The hornets start buzzing around and you'll start seeing stuff that you were really the mental state was trying to mute. Yeah. So it was like a slow droning death instead of a quick, scary thing. That gets lifted, and then you see the agitation clearer. Yeah, it could be uncomfortable for a while, but you're going to live through it. You're not going to die. Just don't get off the operating table. Don't start playing doctor, and it goes very well. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Yeah.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Gary, you're up.
Well, I was going to say something, but now I'm going to say something else. It's like, as I was listening to your talk, I realized sometimes I feel trapped. I feel trapped. And as I listen to your talk, it's like, sort of like that story you were saying, no, you can't come in. You're not I'm with him. No, I'm not with him. It's sort of like that. It's like, I'm feeling trapped. And then there's this, like, no, you're not. Or, that's not you.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the feeling of trappedness, but there's some knowing behind it, or like.
Well, it shortens the length of the feeling, though, for sure. Yeah, because the feeling isn't of being trapped. That's the meaning the feeling is given by the head. There's a feeling. Yeah. Someone next to you could be, that feeling means I'm excited about tomorrow. I mean, you know, describing and defining feelings is a crapshoot, really. Don't you feel? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Could be.
when when you see, it's like taking the air out of the balloon. It can't travel as far. Yeah. So
That. Yeah.
yeah. People would stew on something for 3 days. Maybe now for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Yeah. Yes.
That's an improvement.
Some people have feelings that got them into a 2 to 5 year prison sentence. Now feelings come like that and go, and that they don't leave any mark. Yeah.
Ah, there's roosters somewhere.
Judith, we're listening to your cokies, your roosters.
That's a perfect, there you go. That's the perfect message right there. The rooster chimed in. Yeah. Doesn't he signify waking up in the morning? There
Time
you
to
go.
wake up.
It's your
Yeah.
morning, Gary. The rooster has spoken. Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Yeah. One time we were at a cafe with a new guy in AA about, I don't know, 30 years ago. And we were talking to him about these ideas, so to speak, and and as he was sitting, we were sitting there, the Talking Heads song came on. This is not your beautiful wife. This is not your beautiful house. And it was a perfect segue to the conversation we were having. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. Yeah.
Sorry to butt in, but is that song Road to Nowhere?
I don't know what to. Yeah, it may have been the road to nowhere, but it
I
was
think the
quite
song's
nice.
called The Road to Nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So this is not your beautiful wife. This is not your beautiful house. And that's what we were trying to share with him. He missed it, the whole thing, but we were sitting around and we heard it. Yeah.
The message was coming through.
Yes, exactly. The message took over the radio station. It was pretty good.
Alex says it's once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime. Yeah. Once in a lifetime. Yeah. Yep. All right. Anyone else?
No other hands,
Wow.
unless the rooster again.
My pumpkin pie is coming closer and closer. I'm happy we're on Zoom. I don't have to offer you any. Yeah. All right. Well, if no one wants to ask a question,
Well, can I tell the story I was going to talk about
oh, yes,
before?
yeah, you can. We thought
Okay.
the rooster had cut it off, but
So, kind of the question or experience I had as a, as a working man, so I felt like I was beating myself all week long to go to work and get the job done, and I'd get to the weekend and I'm going like, I don't want to be a slave this weekend, so I'm just going to sit in this chair. And even if I have all these thoughts about this has to be done and that has to be done, and you just can't sit here, you're worthless. I would just sit there and wait. And my decision was not to do anything because I had to. I'm going to sit here all day long if that's what it takes before I do something that I have to do, follow that thought. And this would happen a few times. And then at some point in the evening, or not the evening, in the morning, I'd find myself up, going out to the garage, straightening things up, doing some little, and kind of enjoying the activity. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know, something happened without me even knowing it. So an enjoyable little happening, but it's almost like I was the last one to know. The I was the last one to know. But it happened. That was what kind of surprised me. Well, things could actually happen without my efforting.
Yes. It's like Z talked about it last week. Somebody was speaking here and wanting to know what we would do in a hypothetical question. And Nisargadatta, this teacher from India, some of us know about him. He's passed away, but a person visiting him asked a similar question, and he says, well, you're just going to respond from your nature. Yeah. So your nature is to do things and build things, not yours, Gary, but the action figure. And so you respond to it that way. And what you thought was a job, you really actually like to do. So
Exactly.
yeah. So this is, it's not your nature, meaning your nature. It's the nature of the action figure. Yeah.
Mhm.
So basically, let's say this action figure has a groove of extremeness, yes? So then instead of buying 5 vintage wallets, I get 15 vintage wallets, yeah? That's just and I've come to peace with all that. And I have a lot of wallets. So but this is what happens. It's not of you. It's the nature of the action figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ramesh Balsekar, another guy, bent over backwards to describe it in ways people could understand. And he would have like the working mind and the psychology mind. And so the working mind is, yeah, I can put this piece of wood together with this piece of wood, yes. And then the psychological mind going, you're never going to succeed, you suck, you always, yeah. But the working mind is just working, yes. It's just doing something, he gets into it, and there's a joy in that. It's the
Yes.
thing that's hovering over it, interpreting every little move it makes. Have you ever worked in the services, like painting or construction?
Yeah, I have.
Some of your worst days when you
A
were in the
little bit.
construction or painting was when the person, the owner would be right over your fucking shoulder all day. Yeah? And things that you could easily do, you'd start fucking up because there was this observer with a sense of judging. That's
Mhm.
what we live
Mhm.
under all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. It's such a drag when it's a person, but we fucking adapt to the same unadaptable condition because we call it us. But man,
It's heavy.
I lived at this house and we got 2 people I knew and I wanted to be somewhat of help. They were in recovery to build our deck, We were on a lagoon. And then the landlady was there every day just sitting over them for 6 hours. They both quit like in less than a week.
Mm.
But
Mm.
some of us have been living for 50 years with that same fucking owner sitting over us, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. We don't see we don't see that we can walk away because we're in the act of being identified as it. Yeah? If you could
Yes.
see it as something other than you, the possibility of being free from it would become available. Yes.
Mm. Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the real freedom non-duality offers. It's already always available, readily available. It's just recognizing what's causing you not to be able to entertain freedom is an act of being identified as something you're not. Yeah?
Yeah. It's good to notice.
That's it. Yes. As soon as you see something as not you, the possibility of being free from it becomes available. If you keep calling it you, you're trying to be free as it, which is captured in using the Buddha to seek the Buddha, self can't get out of self, stuff like that. Yes?
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah, I'm thinking like I learned this from my mother. I remember her playing the piano and constantly having to criticize herself about this is not good enough. You should do this better. You're not even good enough to even. She would, and I was sitting next to her learning how to get that pattern was strong in her. And
yeah. sitting
That's-
like that, you're not going to really have much interest in learning the piano.
No, man,
No.
painful.
No, exactly. It's painful. Yeah. That's why how it makes everything look. Everything is fraught with sacrifice and martyrdom and pain. Yeah, it's not the way. It isn't. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, those Saturday mornings, which there was this body was up and moving before Gary
Yeah.
knew it. It was
Yes.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Well, thanks, Gary. It's always
Sure.
nice to see you. Yes. Out of the corner. Yes. Corner no more for Gary. No more corners. Yeah. Mike, anyone else?
Oh, PK.
PK from Long Island City. I see a
man.
big finger, PK.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was great, man. You know what Gary was saying, it made me think growing up in a way, our parents, they teach us a lot of good stuff, but they could also teach us a lot of like neuroses and psychotic stuff and how to just, like you're saying, like how to totally criticize and beat yourself up. Like, here's the technique. You can beat yourself up and criticize yourself so much that no one else is ever going to be able to rival, your self, judging and criticizing, But I love what you said before about the spiritual book too, when you were saying like, you read a book and even like if you watch a movie or read a book, maybe you identify with characters, right? But you put the book down, you don't walk out of the movie theater and think you're the main star of the movie. But like what you were saying with the spiritual stuff, it almost is kind of telling you this is who you are. But the truth is, when you realize that's not who you are, even the person you think you are, you're not that either.
No.
I mean, it's great. I mean, I just love, I feel like, what you're talking about on one hand, it's, you could get old quick, but by the same, on the other hand, there's always some kind of new twist. You're like a band leader and you bring out stuff and people, you're like conducting the orchestra.
Well,
So it's
I don't
great
know
to
about
be
that.
in part of the orchestra of the Paul Hedderman orchestra. It's great to be a member
Yeah.
because it's just amazing the stuff that it's almost like you bring out a lot of insight that people share. It's just amazing. You could, like you said, 50 years, you could be walking around with something like a mistaken identity. And then you realize, that's not even me.
Yes.
It's like mind blowing. It's amazing. So thank you for that, man.
Well, the thing is, though, too, that which you're not has a huge investment. Yeah. In
Yeah.
that which it's not. Yeah. So a lot of times it has you find a solution that fits it. Yeah. Which actually becomes a deterrent to hearing any other solution. So, like the old Poopa Scoopa story is about that, where the guy becomes the master of picking up shit and, a circuit speaker and book tours and shit like that and selling Poopa Scoopas and shit. And then someone comes in and says, I heard you have a problem. He says, no, I'm the master of the solution to that problem. So the guy goes, okay, well, if you're interested, find the dog, If you find the dog, there goes the shit. You don't have to be a master of picking up shit if you're willing to see you're not the dog, so to speak. Yeah. But see, that solution you would think would be really embraced quickly, but the head has a huge investment in being a poopa scooper, And so,
Well, like you said too, with the parent, let's say, who is criticizing themselves, like they can't even enjoy something they're doing. and basically they could just do that. It could be a lifelong process where the more you do it, the more reinforced it gets, and you just, to the point where you might not even, I love what you're doing, because for me, the message, the pointing that you're directing us to, it's kind of thinking outside the box, but it's even smashing the box to bits. There is no box.
Yeah.
It's great, man. I could just listen to you, riffing forever, because, on one hand, yeah, he's not saying anything new, but by the same token, it never gets old,
Yes.
It's like a classic, jazz tune. It could just be played, it's not like a pop song that can only be 3 or 4 minutes. Like a jazz song could be played for 3 hours or 3 days or 3 weeks. Like you
Yes.
said, like a Love Supreme, could just keep going and going and going and going.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Yeah.
This is, yeah, thanks you, PK. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thanks, PK and John R. Now,
John R. John R., how are you? We can't hear you, John.
yeah.
Hey,
There you go.
Paul. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just listening to PK and that, and it was, I don't know if it's the Gestalt therapy or that, but they look at the shame core. And my experience has been that many people in anonymous programs have been dealt a shame core that's been delivered through the parents. But with non-duality, it's the connection is prior to that shame core. That's the beauty of it, or it has been for me.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
superficial. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. Yeah. Have Merry Christmas to you both. Yeah.
We were always looking for freedom after the bondage instead of seeing the freedom before bondage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The freedom is before bondage, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's after bondage, it's going to be, there'll be bondage coming after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, thank you, John. Anyone else? Judith in the tent. Are you comfortable, Judith, there?
Yes, Paul, uncomfortable. And especially listening to you, it's just so beautiful. Thank you so much. You're just so sweet. Everything you say is just so precious. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, there's a word, Paul, here in Hawaii called imiloa. And imiloa is one word that describes the seeker and the sought. Just one word, imiloa. That's it.
Imiloa.
What a simple way of looking at things.
Yeah, that would be a good shirt.
Uh-huh.
We'll have to
Yeah.
design one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and the simplicity in which you deliver the message is just astounding. Every time it just opens my heart, opens my eyes. You're beautiful. Thank you.
Wow. I wish I could end every day with that, but maybe.
You do, believe me. In our hearts, you end every day that way. Thank you.
That's good. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I'm speaking for all of us.
Oh, thank you, Judith. That's nice. Very nice. Yeah. Anyone else? We'll say goodbye. Yeah.
You can probably aloha imaloa.
I like that. We should get a little shirt. That would be nice. The seeker is the sword.
Uh-huh.
Pretty good.
Imiloa.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's say goodbye to Mike. Mike, nice to see you. Yeah. And I think Christmas is Saturday. We'll be having a talk. It doesn't matter if anyone shows up. We'll be there at 1 o'clock Pacific time. We don't take holidays off. No. Every day is a holiday. We got David, man. Stick with us, Dave. Yes, yes, it's yeah. Kerry, always a pleasure. Yes, yeah. I'd be careful where you wear that shirt, the electric fetus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep it. Yeah, yeah. We got Z. Nice to see you, Z. Thanks for coming by
Yeah.
today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk with you tomorrow, Z.
Okay.
All right, good. Gary, as always, thank you. We got Craig. Craig's there. Nice to see you, Craig. Yeah. PK from the Long Island Asylum, which was in Long. Do you remember Creedmoor and Willowbrook? That was in
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I
Oh,
saw.
you know what we got too?
I thought I saw you in corridor number 4 down in Willowbrook.
What do we also have? We have Bellevue, you know, in Manhattan.
Bellevue? I
Yeah.
remember Bellevue. I used to live right down up the street. I used to actually, when my friends who owned the apartment weren't there, I was living there. So, Kenneth, Stefan, nice to see you on Having Never Left. Yes, yeah. We got Johannes, friend from Germany. Thank you. We got Tyler E. Nice to see you, Tyler. Yeah. Chris Gilmore. Yeah. The long lost cousin of David Gilmore. Yes. He was with Purple Floyd. They didn't take off. Pink Floyd has a huge resentment towards his brother. We got Vlad. Nice
Thank
to
you
see
both.
you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. He has beautiful ethereal music. If you haven't looked at the music in Zen Bitch Slap, check it out. There's some really nice, beautiful artists there. And David, Jacob, and other people in the art department. Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff. You like the little video with the old Toyota driving around England with that song? That's pretty cool. Yeah. All right, we got not Jacob. There he is. I was just talking about you. We got Chris from Mammoth Lakes. Yes. I like those feet, Chris. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They look like they'd be traveling heavy, but because they don't know they're a stone, they travel light. Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah. We got Alex from freaking Hudson Valley. Woohoo. We got JP from Vietnam. We got, let's see, who else is here? Sue K, Steve from Germany, Susanna W, a good friend of ours, Nick D or B, Nick B, yep. Miss Amelia, Julie, yeah, all right. I think that's about it. Hey, listen, everyone, have a nice Wednesday night. See you tomorrow at 10:30 for recovery. Yes. Adios, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Aloha, imaloa.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Aloha.